So before I get in depth with all the little details on the car, I want to get back to the very beginning on how this whole thing even came to be. I was scrolling on Instagram one day and came across this guy's Instagram by the name of Rat Rod Jeff. I scrolled through every single post he had ever done and was just in total awe of all the different cars that he had built and his style of building and his attention to detail. So clicked the follow button, and for about like the better part of a year, I was a silent follower. I watched every single post. I watched how quickly current builds in the shop were coming together, and how he was updating everyone and his customers. And it seemed like his customers were always happy, always super stoked to be getting a new build, and he was getting stuff done. You know, that guy does not let anything sit in the shop for weeks on or months on end, and all those little things I totally dug about him. So one random day, I hit him up in the DMs, said, "Hey Jeff, I'm gonna be in your area. Would love to stop by the shop and talk cars." And he said, "Dude, absolutely, come by first thing tomorrow morning and we'll chop it up." Which, by the way, that next morning was a Sunday morning. Not too many shops or shop owners will do that, but I didn't know this. He was between 5 and 6 hours away. So I'm like, shoot, okay, whatever. We're gonna get up super early, jam out to his shop, and spend a few hours with him. So when I got up there, he was there, the shop doors were open, cruised on in, and he walked me through all the different builds that were in his shop and what he was doing with them, so on and so forth. And towards the end of this long extended conversation, he kind of dropped a little seed and was like, "Hey, I have a 32 Ford body that's been sitting in the chicken coop back at the house for the last 15 years. Maybe we could do something with that. I've always had some ideas that I want to try, and stuff that's never been done before, so I want to kind of tinker with that." So that kind of piqued my interest, and before you know it, we were kind of discussing exactly how we wanted this car to look, which, to be completely honest with you guys, he's an artist. I wasn't understanding like the picture that he was trying to draw with words as he was explaining this to me. So he grabbed a piece of chalk on the shop floor, sketched the body line of the car, and I'm like, dude, like that's evil looking, that's wild, and that's exactly what I wanted. I didn't want some happy-go-lucky, pretty painted hot rod. I wanted some car that just looked like it wanted to eat your face off without the thing even running. I wanted it to look super gnarly aggressive and basically scary to drive. So he's all about that stuff. He was just like, dude, yes, yes, yes. Him and I were on the same page with kind of the attitude that we wanted this car to have. And from there on out, after I saw that sketch on the ground, I said, dude, green light, like let's get rocking on this. Like, I have my ideas for powertrain that I want to do. I've had a couple companies that I've always wanted to work with that I can now put their parts into play and make this thing a one-of-a-kind car. So yeah, that's basically how this thing came to fruition in basically the span of one day. So anyways, I want to get you guys walking through this thing. I'm trying to show you guys some really, really cool details about it. So let's get her done. All right, so starting up front, we got us some weld racing wheels, the really nice billet weld wheels. Behind there, we got some Wilwood ultralight drag brakes, and basically classic actual halogen glass headlights. SoCal Speed front end. That's basically the only parts that were bought on this car. I wanted to get in here a little bit on all this framework that he did. This is all hand done. Everything was done with a grinder and a welder. No CNC machines, no lathes, no big fancy tools. Every single part on this car was hand done and hand shaped and hand welded, and it just turned out absolutely insane. I mean, even down to the motor plate, mid plate mounts, everything like that. Shock towers. And as we go a little bit further back, let's talk about this engine. Okay, I saw this engine block sitting on the shelf at my buddy Patrick's shop, a couple years ago, and said, "Hey, dude, you do anything with that block?" And he said, "Nope." So I bought it, and turned it into basically a 565 cubic inch tall deck big block Chevy. So this is not your average big block Chevy. This is an all aluminum tall deck deal, which is pretty badass, I must say so myself. Cylinder heads are AFR 385 Magnums, pretty much the biggest cylinder heads that they offer. On top of that, we got a profiler tunnel ram intake, and you'll see we have port injection, injectors in each port, and injectors up here. That's right, we got 16 fuel injectors feeding this thing. The star of the show, a PSI 1471 supercharger. And you guys, this supercharger is it's a pretty special piece. This supercharger came from Don Schumacher Racing team, the Top Fuel team, like the guys that have like the most championships pretty much ever. So this was one of their actual blowers on one of the race cars. It got retired to a test stand calibration supercharger. It's still stripped, it's still set up how the Top Fuel guys use them. So yeah, it's rowdy. It takes a lot of power to turn, and yeah. So everything is controlled by Holley EFI, and then on top of that, we got this beautiful JBR 4-blade carbon fiber hat. We got one return spring, two return springs, which is actually an RC car shock, which is kind of cool. And then on this side, we have our throttle position sensor. This is a part that I kind of wanted to get a little special with, because usually TPS sensors are super ugly sensors. So this is basically a shifter position sensor that we repurposed into making a throttle position sensor. So pretty cool little deal. Throttles open up, and yeah. Currently the supercharger's making around 10-11 pounds of boost. I haven't really even got on it yet. To be completely honest with you guys, it's got 20 something miles on the car. It's a new build. We're still working kinks out. There's really not much to work out other than get this thing out on the dyno, get it tuned up, and we had a little bit of a overheating issue. Found out that the cooling system just wasn't getting burped properly, so there was a big air bubble down in the engine. Caused a little bit of overheating on the first drive, but it's all those little, quirky things that we got to figure out when we have a full custom fresh build. So anyway, we're gonna flip you guys back around here. I am proud of these guys, the Zoomies. I did make these in the garage with my little Harbor Freight welder. Turned out pretty good. They're not perfect, but kind of the theme of the car. We got custom bracketry all down through here. We got the Willwood Master. I did all the hard lines on the brakes, which was kind of fun. There's ARP 12-point stainless hardware throughout pretty much every single thing on this car. Yeah, check out that windshield. Ooh, that's mean. At the narrowest point right in the middle here, the windshield is 4 inches. So we got a 4-inch tall windshield. Just about the same on the door windows here. This guy's our door lever. So we got that. And we'll go ahead and bring you guys on inside. Nothing too fancy, just something that works. So it's a nice little lever. Does the job. Inside we got our Turbo 400 transmission. The fuel lines are bulkheaded on the firewall that go in, and across to the outside of the firewall. The entire fuel system of the car, the pump, filters, lines run down underneath the drive shaft enclosure. I don't know if you can really see it down there, but we got those. All the electrical for the car, relays and wiring harness and all that stuff is underneath the passenger seat. There's not a lot of room at all in this car for anything. Woods Performance, Daniel Michelle Woods, Josh Roffey's, they did a absolutely unreal job at doing all the wiring, hiding everything pretty much, the best they can, which is, there's really nowhere to hide anything. We got our Holley 12.3-inch Pro Dash touchscreen deal, so the entire car, is controlled through the dash start, lights, you know, all that fun stuff. We got our race radios there because you can't even hear yourself think when this thing's running. I mean, those zoomies, 3-inch zoomies on a blown big block is deafening. I'm not even kidding there. So as we come up here, we can see all the detail work on the cage, all the welds, everything's nice and uniform. Let's get the steering wheel off there. Yeah, man, just total artwork, man. I love how this thing came out. We have our parachute deployment handle. We'll pull those when we go to the track. And all the tin work. Here's something that I really was blown away by. Jeff actually surprised me with my logo in the wheel wells. This is all hand done. This is like all the little, I'll zoom in here, all the little scribes even are just absolutely perfect. They're all hand done and it's just artwork. I mean, there's my logo right there. I didn't even ask him to do that, you guys. He surprised me with that, in the 11th hour, and it was completely over the top. So, we have our big Pro Mod anti-roll bar there, fuel filler neck here that goes down, and just check out all this tin work, you guys. Just absolute artwork. You can see it even through the wheel wells, and that's going to bring me to the next part here, which is a car that is so cut up and tubbed that Jeff had to redo the curvature of the wheel well with this piece of aluminum. So of course, everything's a piece of art. Everything's hand riveted. All the drills were holed and chamfered by hand, and just absolutely breathtaking work. This is bare metal too. This is not painted, clear coated, nothing. That's actual bare metal. And as far as wheel and tire combo goes, we got the big old Hoosiers, I believe. Here, what are these? 33, 16, 15s. So it's a 15-inch weld wheel, 14 inches wide. We got Willwoods behind there, Curry rear end, all the goodies. And then underneath, the beauty does not stop. QA1 Mod Series shocks. Got the big rear end in there. And yeah, man, just the biggest fuel tank we could possibly fit, which is about, I think it's like a 12 or 13 gallon tank, and this thing gets on average 2 miles to the gallon. So yeah, do the math, it's not great. But anyways, we didn't build this thing to go cross country. We built it to make noise, have fun with it, go to car shows, and really just have a rolling piece of art. So, and that's what this thing is. We got our dual parachutes here, and yeah, man, let me get around here, kind of get a full side look on this thing. It's just beautiful. You guys got to see this thing in person. Hopefully most of you guys will get to see this thing in person one day at shows, at the track or something, because it is just out of this world. But anyways, I want to give a special thanks to Rat Rod Jeff, to Daniel and Michelle Woods. Those basically three people, and obviously there's a lot of people that go into building something this wild, but those two shops made this car what it is today. And man, we got QA1, Maxima oils, excess power batteries. Like there's so many people, Holly EFI, that were a huge part of this build, that came together in the 11th hour because we jammed to get this thing done for a huge show up north in Pismo, and it was a total hit. We won 3 awards, Sponsor's Choice, Best Engine, and one other award, I forgot what it was, but we're just gonna be enjoying the heck out of this thing. We will definitely be doing a lot more content with this car, bringing it to shows, driving it around town, doing all that kind of fun stuff, and something that is completely, totally wild. So anyways, appreciate you guys. Go ahead and do all the fun stuff you already know what to do. We will see you guys on the next one.